The Nassau County Chamber of Commerce is committed to strengthening relationships by connecting businesses, leaders, and citizens through meaningful conversations.
Our candidate forums are designed to give the voters an opportunity to hear directly from the candidates on the issues shaping Nassau County.
We sincerely appreciate the candidates participating.
And we thank you for being an informed voter. We hope you enjoy this forum, and we encourage everyone to get out and vote.
Good morning and welcome to our final candidate forum for the Nassau County Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to welcome you all here and of course welcome our board chair, Ms. Alyson McCullough. Unfortunately, Cheryl Plaugher is ill today. We are going to work with her to get some questions up as soon as she's back at it. So we wish her a speedy recovery. As always, we've agreed to call each other by first names. Miss Allie is here. Everything that we've done in the past, we'll be doing in the future, this conversation as well. Allie will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. If you look back there at Sam, you will see our 1 minute, our 30-second, and stop. If we get to the stop, finish your sentence, just don't start a new sentence. My job here is to facilitate the questions. I've got questions prepared. We've got questions from the audience. I am going to ask those questions. You can choose to answer them how you will. I will not be fact checking. If Allie says the sky is purple, I'm going to try to keep a straight face. I'm not going to run outside to see if the sky is truly purple or not.
It was a little purple coming down 108. Okay, those rain clouds got us.
And as we get started, I'll give you 2 minutes to introduce yourself to us.
Thank you, Sean. As most of you know, Aly McCullough right here in Nassau County. Taught ag for 15 years here at the high school, primary school. I've been chairman of the Board of County Commissioners for the last 8 months. I was really called to service several years ago. I have a lot of background working with different boards in the county, volunteering, and I think it's imperative. You know, one thing when I ran for office is when I looked at leadership in Nassau County, I didn't see a reflection of myself. I think that when you have a board that's diverse, and we really have unique personalities and responsibilities that each bring different strengths to the board. And so I think it's important that when you have elected officials, you can see yourself in those elected official positions. I do value leaving this county better for my kids. This is a very personal job for me because I have my 4 kids that I'm raising here in Nassau County, and every decision I make is constitutionally guided, and it's also guided, how can I leave a greater legacy in county for them to grow up and be a part of? Are there real jobs that they can secure in here? Can they afford housing? The teachers that I teach with, the people at church, do they have a place to call home? Is there a sense of community? And that is what has guided my decisions for the last 4 years. So it's been an honor and a privilege, and I look forward to the next 4.
Thank you. As kind of a follow-up for it, why did you decide to run for a second term?
The last 24 months, the board has really, I'm going to say this in the most appropriate way, we've really matured and grown up. We know that the state legislator has thrown a lot of, Florida is a free development state. We've had a lot of different things we've worked through and navigated. We're changing the way we budget. We're changing the way that we do comprehensive planning. And so when you're really embedded and invested in changing those laws and systems in your county, we're 24 months into this project. We did the comprehensive visioning for 18 months. I'm here to see it through.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and get started. A question I like to ask all of our candidates is, we'll stick with the positive. What are 3 things that you think are going well in the county, and how do we keep those moving forward?
3 things. So the 3 top things in Nassau County, number 1, are public safety, I would say managing growth, and economic development. Those are 3 things where we're really getting it right. Public safety, we've invested in the last 4 years, over $200 million into public safety, from salaries, from the jail system, because, you know, if we do not have a safe community, nothing else around our systems work. And so, number 1, safety priority. We've invested heavily into safety. Number 2 is that all of the constituents, as we went through this 18-month visioning exercise, everyone, and I can say it because, you know, I was one of the OGs. I used to go down 200 when it was a 2-lane road with pine trees. I remember, like, we thought Target was the coolest thing ever when we were in high school. We're getting a Target. Oh my gosh, we don't got to go to Regency anymore. But I think a lot of that comes with fear. growth comes with fear. And so it's really navigating those healthy conversations and having policies in place where we don't have bad development. And I say that delicately because there has to be a good balance. And so it's really having those quality of life indicators. And the third great thing we have going is economic development. We've really heavily pushed for diversification of our tax base, that we want to have high quality jobs where people live, work, and play in Nassau County. So those are three things we're kicking butt at, and I'm excited to keep seeing go the next 40 years, as long as the Lord lets me breathe.
Okay, I love it. Should have said this earlier, but
yes,
I'll
sir.
say this now. I love that we're having a conversation.
Oh, do I need to talk to them? Okay.
Talk to the audience.
Okay.
Because
Sorry, guys.
they want to hear you as
Okay.
well. And along those lines, so we started the positive. What are the three areas, our greatest opportunities for improvement?
You know what?
natural.
I'm going to say your three opportunities can be your strengths, because those are our three strengths, but there's opportunities to grow within each one of them. And so within public safety, we know that we've got to support our first responders. We've got to look at mental health is a huge thing in the fire. We've got to look at jail systems. We've got to look at our court systems, the investments required as we grow. So I'm going to use my three strengths and find ways we can grow within them. The second one is growth management, looking at that comprehensive planning. Are we able to respect the rights of people who already live here while embracing our new neighbors? And then the third one with diversifying our commercial industry. I mean, my ultimate goal is, and I'm a selfish helicopter mom, I want my 4 kids to live here and have high wage careers. I want all of my students to be able to graduate through our programs and invest back in this community. And that's how we're good stewards of the taxpayer dollar.
Okay, great. Thank you. You had mentioned development and growth. How should Nassau County balance economic growth while preserving our character?
So with the economic growth, I think one of the best things the Board of County Commissioners can do is to truly step back, because the industry knows what they're doing. We rely heavily on our partners. I do believe in economic incentives because, if we don't give them, there's 67 other counties or 66 other counties in Florida. We're number 67. People are coming to Florida. We're the free state of Florida. And so if we don't incentivize, if we don't open up those doors of opportunity, they're going to go somewhere else. I'm grateful that the governor recognized us. He supported that endeavor. We just got a little over $6 million in District 4 to really work on that industrial area where we can grow in that corridor with the partnership with Jack's USA. We're really, the last 24 months, tried to step, and I say that delicately, Sean. When I say step back, business partners know what they're doing. You have to deregulate, let them take the lead, and support their initiatives.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about that. So maybe a little bit more specific, what policies do you support or believe that need to be improved to strengthen that business climate? Okay,
let's talk about just a couple months ago, we did the impacted mobility fees. And the very first thing that we were hit with was, oh my gosh, are you going to prohibit small businesses from being able to thrive in this community? And we recognized that. So immediately the board, we realized and recognized we do not want to prohibit small businesses from growing and thriving in this industry. So we partner with the chamber, with the SBDC, and we said, look, we're going to put our money where our mouth is and invest in small businesses. And so we did the RISE program. It's great because it really offsets when small businesses want to grow. It really removes those fees and regulations that would have prevented them from expanding or growing. So the RISE program is one way that we're doing it. We're really, and I'll give it to this chamber right here. We have seen huge changes the last 24 months with leadership in the chamber. They've really recognized business partners, and that's what it takes. I don't want the Board of County Commissioners doing this solo. I want us supporting our partners and giving them the tools that they need to be successful.
Thank you. Well, now comes, you gave me the perfect lead-in for my self-serving question.
Okay, yes, sir.
You had mentioned the relationship between the Board of County Commissioners and organizations such as the Chamber. What's your vision of that like? How can we work better together? And other organizations as well.
Really, what I'm grateful for is the fact that government doesn't regulate. We support our businesses and our industries. And when you say work better, it's removing that regulation. Any red tape we see, we're out of the way. I think businesses are supposed to do their job. I don't want government controlling it.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Got it. I guess, specifically, when there's an issue that, say, the chamber has a position on, how can we best communicate that with you as a commissioner?
So we actually went through these growing pains. I mean, we all know that, we've had some major transportation issues. We supported the JTA study within the chamber. We really looked at how do those opportunities exist where we as the board can support the study. We can have transportation opportunities where people are getting to and from work, they're getting to and from their routes, their doctor's appointments. I think that's one great way we've worked together. The RISE program's another great way we've worked together. Really being involved, sending our Board of County Commissioner staff to the chamber meetings, being involved, Miss Kathy, Miss Brandy, we're sending our team players to support and bring back to the board what are they seeing, what are they recognizing needs to be fulfilled in the industry, and they're relaying that back to the board in a healthy communication too.
Okay, great. You had mentioned workforce development. One component of that is workforce housing, so I'm going to ask an audience question here. What do you think the county can do to provide for more workforce housing, home ownership, other than just property taxes?
You should have been there last night. We addressed this because they asked what my number one concern was in the next 4 years, and it really is affordable housing. And this is one where this is going to be the biggest partnership we pull off in supporting. A couple of years ago, the board adopted where when you have what was a former mobile home land, we changed the policies there so that when you want to come in and you want to put tiny houses, you're able to do that underneath our land code. The biggest thing we've talked about through the comprehensive planning, and I've worked with several large landowners on the west side of Nassau County, is really going into what I would say a developer agreement, Sean, where you may not have the same building standards as a different neighborhood, because if we reduce those standards and expectations, and I don't mean to the lowest point, but I just meant you deregulate those need for sidewalks or the needs for certain infrastructure, then your builder is able to come in at a lower cost and still have high quality homes that people can afford. I think another great thing, and Ms. Simpkins and some other school board members and I have talked about this, is really coming up with a better interlocal agreement with our school board and finding out model partnerships where we can really, because we have fire, we have police, we have teachers. That's our workforce. We have, look at the hospitality industry. It is huge. How can we support the hospitality industry with removing some of those building regulations and putting that in the comprehensive plan to where people can afford to build workforce housing? And so that's what I see over the next 4 years, especially because we have a big opportunity right now as we're implementing the comprehensive plan to change those land codes.
All right, great. Thank you. And we'll stick with workforce here for a little bit. And you had mentioned some of these partnerships already. How can the county better support workforce development in terms of strengthening partnerships with the schools, colleges, employers?
This one obviously hits home because of teaching CTE for years, is that government writes policy. You don't want government webbed in deep in everything. We can write policy, but really our goal is to support. It goes back to supporting that industry, working on the $6.25 million grant. So now somebody can come in, they can build, and now we can have those high wage careers. You want to be very delicate when you talk about what can the government do to support workforce. Here's what we can do. We can create policy. We can do economic incentives that draw business, high wage industry into the county and allow them to flourish. One thing that the school board is doing great is we've really strengthened that CTE program. And one of the things that, especially with manufacturing, and you look at where Florida's going as a whole, I think you have to recognize the legislator. What direction is Florida moving in? We know we've got Space Coast, we've got some major technical manufacturing on the horizon. And so one of the things that our board has recognized is we need that manufacturing and industry ready space. So because that's what direction Florida is going. So I think you have to look bigger than Nassau County. You got to look bigger as the state and the whole nation and really promote that industry in our district.
Okay. So you had mentioned, different businesses, wanting to come to Nassau County. What are some of the types of businesses or industries you'd like to work to bring to the community?
Highway, that manufacturing, those skill sets, that's what way we're going with Florida, technical career jobs, the healthcare industry. One of the things is, my optometrist is packed. I just made my son an eye appointment. It was almost 6 weeks out. Really, how do we incentivize, how do we promote the specialty? We've done a great job on the 295 corridor right there at our little interchange and really growing the healthcare industry. But as we expand our population, the West Side, desperately needs optometry, dentistry, where that commuting is closer when I say the West Side, we're all one county, but we have transportation logistics. There's a lot of a disserviced population. So when I look at those things representing the West Side, those are my priorities, is really having that specialized medicine to where our residents can come in. And so one thing I think about is right there on Minor Road. A couple years ago, we had a very controversial rezoning. The applicant met all 7 comprehensive plan amendments, and it was rezoned. And so he's bringing a dentist office. So that's how the Board of County Commissioners supports that industry.
Okay. What other tools would you be in support of or can think of to attract and target those businesses to various locations?
I can say, hey, you want to come stay at the farm? You can come ride horses and be a dentist. Really, you just have to create a culture in your community. We're so fortunate in Nassau County because, we border the river, we have Georgia, we have a coastline. People want to live in Nassau County. There's no denying that this is the best county in the state of Florida. People want to live here. And so we have to create a community culture. We have an 8-school district. We're getting our charter school. We are doing the right things to attract the right businesses.
Okay. When we talk about investment in the community, how do you believe the county should prioritize investing in roads, utilities, broadband, other infrastructure needed to support growth?
We quite literally have put our money where our mouth is. Everyone knows that back in the spring, Blaze came here and said, we have wasted money. I do not view investments in infrastructure and parks and quality of life as a waste of the taxpayer dollar. Every night, if you've not been to the West, let me give you an example. If you've not been to the West Side Regional Park, please come out there. There is hundreds of families every single night. There's 4 food trucks lined up down the spots. People are there. It is a community. Sean, please come out any night of the week this week. You will just be blown away. And so when people are saying, oh, you wasted money on an investment in infrastructure. No, I did not. We invested in the highest quality of life for our residents. We have communal spaces now where people are literally coming together every night. The kids are off the streets. They are in sports. We're supporting small businesses. We are truly investing in the quality of life for our residents of Nassau County. So that's one example we have done. When it comes to roads, we've done the pavement management plan. We have quite literally put our money where our mouth is there. We have invested millions to hundreds of millions of dollars. We've got our cash savings for our 95 interchange. Roads and infrastructure has been a huge investment of the board, over $100 million since I've been on the board.
Okay.
It's hard.
Gotcha. Do you have any thoughts on how developers can participate in some of those challenges with growth?
Absolutely. I would say developers are our biggest, partners. This actually just came up, Sean, this week. I received several questions from my constituents. So many people just text me now on my county phone. They will send me a screenshot of something that they saw and they're like, Allie, what the heck is that? And I'm like, that's what I'm here for, to answer your questions. But one of the questions that was sent to me was, how come the county gave developers $28 million? And I said, whoa, Randy Jean, hold on. What are you talking about? And so she's like, this is what I read. We gave $28 million to developers. And I said, no, Randy Jean, this is what happened. Now, when developers come in, we have developer agreements, which are statutorily guided by the state constitution. And so when you come, you put the infrastructure and investment up front. You know, for years, I've been here, Sean, I don't know how long you've been here, but like, I can think about neighborhoods. It was like one house was built, one house was built, one house was built, and it took that neighborhood 15, 20 years to build out. And me as the taxpayer was carrying that burden, waiting on each house permit to pull. So now we have developer agreements where when that developer comes in and, you know, if you do 1,000 PUDs, and I'm going to do a rough number, 20,000 in impact and mobility fees. So you have 20 million off those 1,000 homes. So immediately $13 million in roads, because at $1 million a mile, let's just say we have 13 million in road, 5 million in a fire station, that's 18 million we're at, and then and I'm using tributary as a definitive example, and then a $2 million kayak launch for the public service. So we have $20 million invested in the public up front, and immediately before any rooftop comes in, now we have those public benefits. And it's awesome to see, because that's the whole point.
All right, well, thank you. You had mentioned constituents shooting screenshots of things they've read, you know, on your phone.
Okay, but I'm 38, so that's how we do business now. I'm like, you don't have to send me a formal email, Sean. Just ask me a question. I've had a very open relationship with my constituents because I think they want to be heard. Like, I've told them, you do not have to call me or schedule an appointment. Just shoot me a text. We'll answer this question quickly. And
then you just answered the question I was about to ask.
Oh, sorry, Sean.
Is what works best for you in communicating, and also how do you deal as a public official with some of the noise that's out there on social media?
Oh, there's noise about me on social media? I didn't know.
That was a very general statement.
I didn't know. They don't live rent-free in my head. I charge. Okay. But this is the whole thing, is that I guess, you know, when I was elected to office, Sean, I was 34. I have teenagers. You know, that's how we communicate. I do have formal meetings. I do formal emails. But one thing I have found is people didn't realize how actually easily and relatable it is to talk to your county commissioners. You know, yesterday, some questions went out about a land purchase. And within 5 minutes of the land purchase being posted, I had 20 screenshots and texts on that county phone. Y'all can pull the public record. It's right there. Miss May loves to do my public records daily. But you know, constituents asked me, they said, oh my God, the county bought a $250,000 parcel that we sold for $20,000. I'm like, whoa, this is what happens when you only have one piece of information. The clerk sold a tax deed sale. And so we have multiple constitutional offices that serve at the pleasure of the Board of the County Commissioners. John Drew, the clerk, supervisor of elections, the sheriff. And so a tax deed sale went. The owner held on to the property for 6 years. It's part of this board wrote policy where we don't want to be tenants anymore. We want to be landlord. And so we're looking at expanding our government campuses from renting, like we've been doing for 20 years, to where we own the building. We told that was a priority of this board. And so we purchased an adjacent property. We bought it at the market appraised price. And so I was challenged, why did the county purchase a piece of property that was sold for $20,000? No, baby. It was a tax deed sale. The owner purchased it. We purchased it at the fair market value. And I think when you have that opportunity to explain and educate to people how local government works is such a unique opportunity for me to do.
All right. Well, thank you very much on that. You guys are going to love this transition. We were just talking about the internet, right? So let's talk about data centers.
Let's not.
But the county's recently adopted a moratorium on data center development to evaluate what the impacts to the community are. What factors do you believe should go into that final policy?
When I look at that policy, I'll tell you, Sean, as somebody who, I go back to 2017, 2018, when I was getting my master's at UF, we did a lot of work in South Florida. And we saw negative impacts of commercial farming. If you look at what sugarcane farmers, some of the implications of fertilizers, and any industry that comes in has bad development at first. You know, they didn't know how to do things. We learn as we go. I think what my goal was, and I said it on the dais and I'll say it right here today, is that you can't deny the infrastructure that we use every day. And so I want to write policy that recognizes this is a need in our industry, but not at the hyperscale. You have to write good policy. I think counties that banned it did it wrong, because I think it'll be a gubernatorial when we look at 484 and some other policies. When you look at your head governor positions and their views, we know that Tallahassee, the legislator, has the ability to override the comprehensive plan. And so in our land development code, I want to write regulation that it makes hyperscale, all of that nonsense, incompatible, that if anybody does try to do anything, it is closed loop systems. You know, we already know they have to do their own power grid. If you do not write policy, you do not write good policy, then anything can happen. And so that's why immediately we said we're going to do 12-month moratorium. We are going to, before anybody can even walk in the door, we're going to get this right. And so the 5 of us are bound and determined to get this right. And I'm saying that because I have a well. I live on 20 acres. It's personal to me what happens to this landscape in Nassau County.
Okay. Well, thank you. And actually, I'm going to just step up here because I was going to ask if there were any other audience questions. And I'm sorry, I'm reading it as well. I'll tell you what, go ahead and stand up if you don't mind and ask the question. And I'll repeat it since I am on the mic.
How does the county's vision incorporate the role of nonprofit organizations in community development and service delivery? Specifically, what strategies are in place to collaborate with these organizations to address local needs and enhance community engagement?
Okay, yes, ma'am. You want to repeat the question, Sean?
I'll just summarize it. Is basically, how does the county's vision incorporate the role of nonprofit organizations in community development and service delivery?
So this is the first year that the board has not funded nonprofits. This year, the board as a whole changed our budget process. We did a 10% reduction. We know that tax reform is on the ballot no matter what. We did not put another project in the CIP for this year. We are having what I call at my house like a fiscally constrained week. And that's very smart of this board to prepare for Amendment 3. And whether or not Amendment 3 passes or not, the voters in Nassau County have already said, look, we want tax reform. We don't want certain projects. And I said, okay, I recognize that. But nonprofits play such a crucial role in our community, especially in my district. I mean, I have families that are reliant on nonprofit. And so I think the ultimate goal there is looking at our philanthropic partners. How can and I'm taking off my commissioner hat and I'm just putting on my community member hat, is how do we tell a better story of the nonprofit roles play in our community? Because I know in my district, a lot of people don't even realize some of the nonprofits that exist and how they can play a role in that. And so that's what I'm doing as a commissioner. I'm budgeting the taxpayer policy wisely, but as a commissioner in the streets, I'm advocating for nonprofits and the importance that nonprofits play in the role of our community.
Thank you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about budget. You had mentioned Amendment 3, the November referendum on homestead exemption that could reduce potential revenue to local governments. Do you support that yourself? And you've already mentioned, but if you want to talk a little bit more about what the county's done to prepare for that. So
Tax Watch put out that Nassau County was the #1 county dependent on ad valorem taxes in the state of Florida, but we are the 57th for MSTU agreements. And so one thing that the Board of County Commissioners, and we recognized this in last year's budget cycle, we put the policy in this year, is that we are going to change. We're at 100,000 residents now. It's time for us to grow. I say grow up. We are going to change the way we budget and do the budget process in Nassau County, Florida, because we have to. It's time. I don't want to be dependent on ad valorem dollars. You have to change the way we do that. And so whether Amendment 3 passes or fails, Nassau County as a whole, your Board of County Commissioners, are going to pretend like it passed. And so we have changed the way we have done a huge budget reduction this year. We have a big budget reduction in for next year. And we are changing the way policy is written for collecting those police and fire fees.
Okay. And when you're talking on the income side, here's going to be a very blunt question. Okay. Does Nassau County have a spending problem?
No, sir.
And that is a very blunt answer. Do you want to expound on that at all?
I do not. I do. I do not. We do not have a spending problem. It's different for me. So I was here. I saw former boards did not collect impact and mobility fees. I didn't. My husband and I pressure washed the Hilliard bathroom, literal crap off the walls. Like now we have, we hire positions. We're able to give people careers where they are in every facility in our county is now managed and taken care of, because one thing is now we have 2 parents working outside of the home. They don't have the same time to volunteer that they used to. And so people my age and other people said, you know what, we're willing to invest our taxpayer dollar, because when I go to the ballpark, me and the kids get out the car, we practice the game, it's cut, it's mowed, we get back in the car and we go home. That is the conversations that I'm having with my constituents. So when Blaze came in and said we overspent, no, we invested. And so you have to say, is spending investing? Do we recognize that the taxpayers are now like, okay, nope, we don't want you investing that? Okay, that's fine. We won't mow, but 16 times a year instead of 40 times a year. We'll let the grass get high. Don't call me when the grass is high, because we're not spending that money anymore. We're cutting back another 10% reduction. I think people will recognize that you get what you pay for. And it's as simple as that. And so the residents have told us, stop spending, so we will stop spending, but they have to recognize you get what you pay for.
All right, and you mentioned Blaze Ingolia, the CFO of Florida that was here earlier this year and made some comments. If he's reelected, how can we work to improve our relationship at the state level? You know what,
I am grateful for Blaze, because he said, where's the money at? I did try to have further dialogue with Blaze. I have not heard back from him. But one thing that came out of that meeting that I recognized, we directed staff, was that we have now the fiscal transparency report. And so it is 28 pages, but that's condensed down from 350 budget to 28 pages. And what I love about it is we've got colors, we've got graphics, we've got real-time data. Every single penny is accounted for in a 28-page book. And I think that's imperative. And I use that tool literally, quite literally daily, to give to residents so they see where every single penny went. We have conversations, okay, if we're not going to fund nonprofit, we're going to do this. If we're not going to spend at the library, we're going to do this. Or we have to have, as a elected official, I spend every day having conversations with residents on what their priorities are, and I bring that forth to the board. Okay. So I'm thankful for him, because out of that came the Fiscal Accountability Transparency Report, and that's now a policy of the Board of County Commissioners, and it's an easy tool for my residents.
Great. Well, along those lines, obviously not everybody is going to agree 100% of the time on 100% of everything.
Have you been to a board meeting?
And so when you are passionate about a position, which you are, and we appreciate that, and your other commissioners are passionate about their positions, how do we come to a consensus? How do you lobby for your position?
I love that question, Sean, because we really have this board's very diverse board. We all have very different backgrounds. Our communities are very different. The people we serve are very different. And so that's the beauty of living in a republic, is that you have this representation that comes forth and writes policy. And so how do I advocate? I say, we have to have the libraries. People have to go to the books. That's, if you watch the budget meeting, the libraries are a big thing for me, because that's a community space. That's where people, especially in District 4, that's where people, if you go to Hilliard Middle Senior High School, the library is across the street. And so that's the hangout spot after school. Broadband, internet connectivity is still a disadvantage on the west side of the county. And so having that public space where people have Wi-Fi hotspots that they can rent out, that students can do their homework. It's not just a library about books, it's a community space. So that's how we advocate. Each district, we have drainage issues in District 4, Thomas Creek. So the whole board has supported my initiative in in applying for those state appropriations, where we've gotten millions of dollars to support residents along Thomas Creek. And so it's really just bringing forth to the board, having that dialogue and discussion, and recognizing that we represent all the residents of Nassau County, and having those deep, meaningful conversations.
Great. I've got one more question for you. before
Okay.
we wrap up. And then if the audience has any other questions, I'd love to invite you guys to stand up and ask or pass them up, and I'll do my best to interpret the question for you. But what would you define as a successful term of office?
This one or the next one?
Your next, assuming you were reelected.
Okay. Well, I'll define success this one and what we'll continue to build on. I am so proud of the fact that I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I ran on roads, revenues, and resources. We've invested in our roads. We've changed the way our revenues are done, and our resources, our people are number one. We've changed the way we have free health insurance for all BOCC employees. We've invested significantly in the culture of our community. We've had to cut numbers, but really our roads, revenues, and resources. So I can say that's been a successful 4 years because I did exactly what I said I was going to do. Moving forward, I've really matured the last 24 months. The legislator has changed a lot through comprehensive planning, land code. One of the biggest priorities in the state of Florida, all 67 districts are going to be dealing with, is Florida's open for business. We have 30,000 allotments, no matter what that board looks like. Residents are coming to Nassau County. So how do I, Alyson McCullough, hold true to the values of what represents Nassau County while welcoming in our new neighbors? And that really looks like the policy that the residents entrust me to write into the next 24 months. And so that's what will be a success, is in 24 months, when we're done with our comprehensive plan process, did we do what we say we were going to do? Did we recognize people are coming, and do we hold the values that matter most to the residents that already exist here? And that will be my success story.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Well, first, I would like to thank all of you for attending. I would like to let Miss Allie give us a 1-minute summary of why we should vote for you and where we can get more information.
VoteAlyson.com, and you should vote for me because I'm the best candidate. Because really, it's about, I do value that people have entrusted me, and there have been some disagreements along the way. There have been some agreements along the way. But I have truly been the most accessible commissioner. You know, one thing that's different is that I've never stopped being in the community. You know, I've never changed volunteering on Saturdays. People say they see me everywhere because they have, you know, this is one single part of service in my life. If the doors open or close August 18th, that doesn't change my legacy and commitment to this community. And that's what I value so much about the county that raised me, the county that I'm raising my kids in. It is an honor and a service to represent the residents of Nassau County. And so I thank them with the vote 4 years ago and the vote on honor before August 18th. So thank you.
Thank you, Allie. And again, we wish Cheryl Plaugher a speedy recovery. On the Chamber's website, we have her answers to the candidate questionnaire. We are going to work to get some video out once she feels better. You can go to her website as well, CherylForNassauFL.com. Again, thank all of you for taking your mornings. Those of you that have been here for all 4, I'm sorry for the same stale jokes every single time. And of course, none of these programs happen without the support of the Chamber Board of Directors and the Chamber staff.
I have to give them kudos. Talk about kicking butt the last 24 months. The Chamber is just on it. We have to give them credit where credit is due. They have changed the culture in Nassau County. I'm grateful for their leadership. They know that. You guys are awesome, and thank you.
So specifically, our President, Alex Wilmer.
Yes.
Our Vice President, Justin Taylor.
We have the best.
Allison Merrick for putting all of these programs together and being our point of contact.
Awesome.
Thank you.
They really are.
And Samantha Nance for being our phenomenal timekeeper.
Thank you.
So thank you guys. Don't forget, early voting starts this Thursday, August 6th, and the primary is August 18th. I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Sean.